This week we're tackling another of the base cabinets for the Beachside Bungalow kitchen. Stay tuned and see how this came together. All right, we have another one of the base cabinet kits today together, and this one is a 1.5 inch base cabinet, and it has actually a door and a drawer at the top. So that's going to be a lot of fun to put together. It combines some of the things we've learned on the other kits earlier. It's got the exploded diagram again, and it's going to go together similar to how we've done the ones previously. So I am going to, as usual, label this and put it with the rest of my hardware. And I'm going to label each of these pieces so I know exactly what I've got and where they go. And when that's done, I'll come back and we'll do some gluing. All right, so I've got everything all sorted out. I've got them labeled and also grouped in groups on my work tile. So these are the pieces we are going to work with first. These are our two sides of our cabinet. Our pieces that go in as dividers, horizontal dividers, and then our brace piece for the back. If you've watched my other videos where I've put together the other pieces to this set, it will look very familiar. The only difference here is we are doing a drawer, one drawer and one door, as opposed to either multiples, I guess, of either one. So this is a little bit of a repeat if you've watched the other videos, but hopefully you'll hang here with me and watch this go together, and hopefully it goes together as well as the others in the series have. So I am going to turn the camera off and I'm going to put the glue on the other side piece, and then I'll come back and we will put these 7 pieces together. All right, so the glue's all applied. I've got my tape right here next to my tray so that I can, as soon as I've got everything glued and made sure it's straight and square, I can tape it. And just like the other pieces, we have a few things to keep in mind. This little step back here, this means this is the front of our cabinet and this flat piece is the back. On these pieces, the piece with the notch is in the back. So we are going to make sure that when we put these together, we put them with this little notch to the front and this little notch to the back. And all of these pieces need to go in the same. We don't want to be getting one of them in crooked. Now what I usually do is I put one or two in rather, and then I kind of do this. And I may not put them together exactly the same way each time. Some days, some things work better than others. Now, if you are going to stain your cabinet, I would suggest, as the manufacturer also suggests in the instructions, that you use a tinted glue. I'm painting mine, so I don't need to use it. I can just use regular white glue. And someone suggested, well, you can stain wood glue, but it does resist the stain a little bit. And in something this small, you will notice that. You will notice if there is a spot that didn't take the same. All right, now those are all in, those are all flat. So now we're just going to put a little bit of glue here. And we want to do all of these, this whole unit as one piece, and then let it dry because we need this to stay square. And if we didn't put all the pieces together, we wouldn't know for sure everything was square like we want it to be. And now this is a very tight fit. And if your shelves are not, if they're off at all, if they're tilted, this won't go in. This helps to hold everything together. And that is not sitting where it's supposed to. So let's move it up just a little bit. It is a very tight fit. That's much, much better. Now, before I squeeze that together better, I'm going to check, and I have been doing this part off camera, but I'm verifying with this that is square, and it is. So I'm going to take some tape. I like to start my tape at the bottom, wrap it tightly all the way around, pull tension on it the whole way, and then wrap it all the way to the bottom again. So I'm going to let that sit. When that has dried completely, we can add these pieces. These are our trim pieces that will go on here and here, I think. Yeah. So that's what will be our next step. So I will be back when this is dry. All right, this glue has dried, so now we're going to put these trim pieces on, and we do have a decision to make. We have to decide which way our door is going to open on our cabinet, and then we have to make sure that these pieces with the hole are both at the same side of the cabinet. So well, first let's put these on, and then hopefully I can make a decision. I'm not sure which way I want it to go. It was easier on the one that had the two doors because you had one going each way. But yeah. So this one needs to line up with the edge. And it lines up with just below this part. And you want to make sure that it's lined up really flush there. And put this in, and then make sure that the holes on the other two are going up and down, that you don't glue that part flush to the cabinet. And I'm going to put the hinge on this side so the door opens that way. So it means the hole will be there. So I'm going to put glue. This is the side with no holes in it. And we are going to put one here. And I'm going to use a dry toothpick to make sure I'm lined up. Yeah. And then we're going to put the other one. Making sure that the hole's at the same end. And I guess we could change our mind. We could very carefully use a push pin and make a new hole in there if we change our mind in the end. So that needs to sit aside and dry. I'm gonna want to double check like multiple times that everything is where it goes. And I think I'll just go ahead and do the drawer and the door at the same time here, to maybe make this a little shorter, at least make my filming time a little shorter. So we have a back and we have a front, and we have two sides. So I'm going to put glue on the two sides of this is the base of the drawer. And now if I was going to stain my cabinets, I would only put the front piece on with tinted glue. If I was using the tinted glue, I would use a clear glue on these back pieces, because typically on good quality furniture, good quality cabinetry, these insides of the drawers are not going to necessarily be finished. A lot of those are left natural or just a clear. And I probably would do that. So I would probably not put the tinted glue on at least the insides of these drawers, even though I'd use it all the other places. Now you do want to be putting this together on a surface that you'll be able to pop this off of later, because the glue is obviously going to seep down. and it's going to attach itself just a little bit to my tile. But because, I'm going to get a fresh toothpick here, because I'm using a ceramic tile, I know I can just use a razor blade or a thin knife and I'll be able to pop this up off of the tile without damaging anything. All right, then we're going to put these in, and again we want to make sure we put all the pieces together at the same time, because we want to make sure we have it all square. By doing it this way, we can make sure that it's square. We can use this and we can double check. I'm going to slide this over here. I'm going to get a wet wipe and clean my tile off just a little bit so that I can work with the door now. And I'm going to put a little fresh glue here because my glue is starting to thicken a bit. So we have 4 pieces again for our door, or 5 pieces. We have the door panel. We have 2 types of long sides. This one has the holes for the hinge pins. This one does not. And then we have the top and the bottom. So I am going to put some glue right here. I'm just trying to be as careful as possible, and you want to get these to fit as tight as you can. We may have to do a little tiny bit of sanding to make things fit. We did on the other piece, but try to get it as square and the joints as close as you can. It will look better in the long run. Now, get this guy right here. Come on, and cooperate with me. There you go. And I'm lining up those ends. And once again, we will not be doing the final finish of the cabinet today on today's video. That I'm going to wait until I have most, if not all, of my cabinets done, and then I will paint, because they're going to be painted, and I'll put the paint on them, all of them at once. Let's see if I can actually trying to keep track of camera view screen and what I'm doing and keeping it under camera and everything else. It is harder under trying to do this on video than it is when you're not on video. You will have a lot less issues. Yeah. Wipe the glue out that's kind of bulging out there and get those as tight as I can. And we're going to let this dry, probably let it dry overnight, and then tomorrow morning we'll take a look at it. We'll see if the drawer fits without any sanding, or if we have to sand it just a bit to get it to fit. So I'll see you in just a moment for you, overnight for me. All right, these have sat overnight. Off camera, I use this to kind of pop these two off of my tray. Before I start fitting, I am going to wipe off. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's a little bit of shininess right here. Yeah, that's all glue. So that will need to, and I'll do some of it on camera. I'll probably finish it up off camera, but just use some sandpaper, and I've already got most of it off. I'll finish that up off camera. So now let's see if these are going to fit. And it's not unusual, no matter how careful we are, sometimes, yeah, that one's going to need a little bit of sanding, and I see right where it needs it, because these 2 pieces stick up just a tiny bit. Make sure your sandpaper is flat on your work surface, and hold this straight up and down, and just gently run it across. And I've got a fairly coarse sandpaper here. And there we go. It fits just right. So let's see how our drawer did. Before we do any sanding, let's see if it's going to fit. It's going to be close. It's not, like I said, it's not unusual to have to do just a little touching up. Could be some glue sticking out. It could be something just like a hair off as far as being straight. But as long as you sand carefully, you won't hurt your drawer, and we'll make it fit. Okay, it's right there, and I can see by looking. Now it will go in if I force it, but I don't want it that tight. I want it tight enough that it's going to stay closed in the dollhouse, but I want it loose enough that I will be able to open the drawers to show what I'm storing inside of them once it's glued into the dollhouse. Because this cabinet is going to be glued in, so I'm going to have to be able to get into the drawers. All right, just tiny bit. There might be a little glue sticking up there. I'm going to turn the camera off and go get an emery board. I'll be right back. All right, there might be a little bit of glue sticking up there too, which is not helping. Let's see how that goes now. Just a little bit. So I'm going to keep working on this. I'm going to work in here a little bit, make sure all the glue is sanded off, and I'm going to work on that drawer, and when I've got it fitting just the way I want, I'll be back and we'll look at this the way it is. All right, that took some figuring, but I couldn't really show it on camera, so I did it off camera. There was some glue that got left on the inside seams here, and I got most of it out. I used a combination of an old dental pick that I used for crafting, as well as a few of my clay tools and a handy screwdriver, along with my sandpaper and my emery board. I also ended up doing a little extra sanding here, made that kind of an odd angle. That's the back corner. It won't show, but it allows it to get past. There's something still that I'm not able to get out that's making it catch, and I will continue probably to work on that. But let's take the tape off of the cabinet because I forgot to do that earlier. So there is, let's put the drawer most of the way in, and put the door on, and that is our kitchen cabinet for this week. It's a 1.5 inch wide base cabinet with a door and a drawer. This is such a cute kitchen set. I hope you're enjoying this series of videos. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you learned something, I'm really happy about that. If you have subscribed, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't subscribed and you want to see more of my content, be sure and push the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when I put out a new video. Be sure and check the blog post. I'll try and have some more photos over there like always, and the link is always in the description box for this video. Will take you directly to the blog post that's tied to this video. Also find us on Facebook because that's usually where I announce fun things and let you know what's going on first. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.